Hello people, this is Spellbinder's Report, and I have an article here I'm going to read off to you. It's by getliberty.org, America for Limited Government, and it's called Showing the Way on Spending Cuts. I'm not going to read the whole article, it's just one part of it that caught my attention I want to talk about. It says Washington, President Obama's State of the Union address demonstrated anew that although he pays lip service to smaller government, less regulation, and deficit reduction, his heart is elsewhere. After 2 years in office, and despite having taken a shellacking in the November election, the president continues to believe in larger government, government as a provider of services, government as an employer, not of last resort, but of first resort. Now, what this is like, it's like welfare. They want to create more government jobs to get people addicted to these government jobs. It's like welfare is an addiction. Once you're on the government jobs, they can't take that away because people are relying on their paycheck from the government. Now, this is just basically saying that we just want everyone to work for us, and that way we have more control over everyone because everyone's relying for their paycheck from the government, just like everyone relies on their payments from welfare. That's why welfare was started, to hook you on it, and that way they can ask for more and more money for welfare, as well as asking more and more money for government, because they have employees that need to be paid. So everyone else out there has got to pay for the government's employment people, the people employed by government. So they were able to ask for several $billion and pay several $1 million in paychecks, and the rest goes into their pockets. That's about what it happens to it. It's about the same with the welfare. There's always an over amount that's drawn when they predict these welfare accounts. There's always in there, everyone works with them, and everyone makes sure there's a little extra to go around to everyone who keeps the welfare going. And this is what seems to be happening today with Obama and his address to the union. He was basically trying to tell everyone, hey, we just need more, we'll give you more jobs, we'll make jobs in government. And, that way we don't have to make any cuts because we'll need that money to pay the employees that we hire and employ, all the unemployed people out there. You see how this is actually working for their advantage? The whole thing works in their system on it. It's like a war against poverty, and there's always more poverty, and there's always more money going to it to fight poverty. There's always a war on drugs. To fight the war on drugs, they need more money, more money, more money to fight the war on drugs. And it's always never going down. It's always going up because they always need to fight the war on something. And every time they have a war on something, it always costs more and more and more. And it never gets less and less, and the problem never, ever goes away. This is a proven fact. Just look at the last, 30 years on fighting the war on drugs. It hasn't gone away, and it's actually the cost of it went up to the billions now a year to run the war on drugs, and they haven't done anything to stop it. And as far as we know, the drugs are coming in from overseas, from the CIA, and they're bringing them into our country, especially the heroin. We're in Afghanistan having our troops make sure the poppy fields aren't invaded by anyone outside, and allowing them to grow it and to market it and sell it. Now, does that sound like we're fighting a war on drugs, or it sounds like we're actually creating the war on drugs to keep the ball rolling and the money coming in? That's what it sounds like to me. As far as welfare is concerned, they don't go out to help anyone on welfare to get a job. Oh, no. The opposite is true. Do you know that in America there's probably now 5 generations of welfare recipients? That's generations. That's people having kids whose kids grow up, and are on welfare. This is another known fact. And this is all happening because we allow them to hoodwink us into believing we have to have a war on something. And the war on terrorism is another thing. Guess how much that's costing? That's costing in the trillions for the war on terrorism. And all rights are going away. The TSAs is allowed now to molest and manhandle you and stick their hands down your pants. I mean, if they'd done that on the street, they'd be arrested for molestation or even assault. But no, if it's the TSA doing it, it's A-OK. Yes, as long as it's a federal somebody doing it. Because they're getting paid by the federal government to do that. It sounds like to me we need to start cutting spending on these ridiculous programs out there that they have put together that do nothing for society except take money from it and make people poor. We already have people who have been kicked out of their houses from foreclosures, from people who got money from the government, from our taxes, and paid them off in the trillions and trillions. $14 trillion is about what it is that we paid off Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and Goldman Sachs and all the rest of them out there that got paid off. And you notice they could have took that very same money and allowed these banks to fall, and somebody would have stepped up to the plate afterwards and took it over. But no, they gave the money to them. But all that money could have been used to pay off everyone's foreclosures. Everyone could have had a free house with the money that they gave them to pay them off to keep them going. This is just wrong in America. We give well, what do we give to them? We give them money, and we reward them for crimes. I mean, now we reward the banksters for crimes. And they get more money. And they're saying they may need another $1 trillion. I think it's Goldman Sachs is starting to talk about that. And now they're giving money to people like Domino's Pizza for a new type of cheesier, healthier pizza. Give them $1 billion for that. At least several million. I think it was 16 or something million. Some ungodly amount of money given to a private company to put in pizza. It's supposed to be healthier, which is the most unhealthiest thing because the ingredients are, a lot of it's GMO, and they're going to feed that to your kids in school and say it's nutritional. Pizzas are now considered highly nutritional. That's amazing. I never quite heard that before until they just made it up and said, yeah, we're going to feed your kids pizza with high carbohydrates and the dough and everything. I mean, so they're cutting their carbohydrates like they should. They're increasing them. Do you know that people who are diabetic, the ones who are mild diabetics, can be cured if they just stop eating bread? Just stop eating bread, and it cuts your carbohydrates down, and you don't have diabetes, the mild diabetes anymore. I mean, this is the type of stuff they're doing. And I just can't get over it. They got the GMO coming through. They're saying GMO is good for you. They tell you that mercury is good for you. Vitamin M. I mean, this is the type of craziness they're pushing on the people. And it's not right. I mean, the tests in the GMO show that it destroys and kills and diseases animals. They test this GMO grains they feed to them and stuff. Mice become infertile and their offspring die younger. This is part of Agenda 21. I don't know how many ways I have to explain to you that they want you off their property. The elitists do. The 240-something families out there that's running the world wants the less 6.5 billion off this planet, so the other 500 million will be their slaves. And this is what's written in the Georgia Guidestones. That's about all I have to say about this. I mean, do your research. I'll have links to this article so you can read the rest of it. I mean, he addressed Congress and the national view and audience and demonstrated that despite the bipartisan setting in the House chamber and perhaps a less acrimonious atmosphere, the difference between the two parties are as wide as ever. Democrats want to increase government spending. Republicans want to decrease it. But they don't want to decrease it enough. They don't want to touch their basic money house or money line. They just don't want you to touch their war. As long as they can keep the war going, all their buddies in the industrial military complex get paid and they're able to make more bombs and stuff. And as long as they're doing that, they're making billions. That's another thing, too, is the war. We need to stop the war. We need to start bringing people home from bases that's not useful anymore to us. We spend trillions of dollars a year on bases, 200 and something bases worldwide. And they're not telling you that. Oh no, they're not telling you about the bases worldwide at all. How many we got? I thought it was only like 180. No, it's 240 something bases out there worldwide that we're spending trillions of dollars a year to upkeep and keep for open. And they're in areas that no longer have any conflict. And are already democratized, if you want to call it. And that's another thing, is democracy. Yeah, 51% of people say you're supposed to die. You're going to die. The other 49%. I mean, that's what democracy is. The government is like Mark Twain said. It's two wolves and a sheep trying to decide what's for dinner. And guess who dinner is? That's right, us, the American people. Until next time, this is Spellbinder Report. Be good. Be good at it. Do your research. Good day.
Why? Why? It is a small word, but it is a quick, sharp, and abrupt word.
Why?
It is the chosen word of the nonconformist, the defiant, and the visionary. It is a confrontational word.
Why?
It challenges what's thought to be impossible. If you are not afraid to ask why, you can change whatever it is you want.
Hickory dickory dock, the mouse ran up the clock. The clock struck one, the mouse ran down. Hickory dickory dock.